We all know that students advance differently in their learning and that one-size-fits-all school systems often don't do justice to many learners. A common answer to that has been to teach students in batches, grouped by what we judge to be their academic potential. Academic selection is perhaps less common now than it used to be in the 70s or 80s, but it's still a very powerful force in education. But as intuitive as it looks to select students into more homogeneous groups of learners, that approach is fraught with difficulties too. And interestingly, you don't see much academic tracking and selection in many of the world's top performing education systems. And those countries actually have good reasons for limiting stratification. First, it's really difficult to sort students by their academic potential. Now, in most cases, we end up sorting them by their social background, which defeats the purpose of all of this. Now, you can see in the PISA data that the earlier education systems divide up students, the stronger the impact of social background on learning outcomes. Now, second, teachers are often just not very good in judging the academic potential of students. In fact, the more selection mechanisms are based on the judgment of teachers or parents rather than objective metrics like assessment and tests, the more selection tends to get biased by social background. But even where you do use robust selection mechanisms like tests, their prognostic validity is often really very limited, particularly when you apply them to young age groups. We simply do not know what the future holds for learners, and we simply cannot judge true potential. But third, and perhaps that's the most important aspect here, selection mechanisms often set the wrong incentives. We see from PISA that less academically inclusive education systems tend to have a lower share of students with a growth mindset. So what does that mean? Well, of all the judgments people make about themselves, the most influential one is how capable they think they are of completing a task successfully. Research shows that the belief that we are responsible for the results of our behavior influences motivation, such that people are more likely to invest their effort if they believe it's going to lead to the results they're trying to achieve. So if you get routed into a low-performing track or low-performing school, that often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Also because then you get surrounded by other low-performing students and you do not really anymore see what excellence or high performance can really mean for you. That also helps to explain why selection within schools, particularly when it's subject-specific, seems to have far fewer negative consequences than selection into different schools or different school types. Perhaps selection also sends the wrong incentives for teachers. It gives them sort of the illusion that they somehow do the right thing, but they got the wrong students who belong to somewhere else. And you see that the likelihood that teachers hand down students to lower performing tracks tends to be many times greater than the likelihood that they're promoting the best students to a more advanced track. PISA also shows that in countries with a high degree of stratification, students often tend to feel less well supported by their teachers. And as we all know, that perception that you have a teacher who knows who you are and who you want to become and who accompanies you on that journey is such a powerful predictor for the academic and social development of students. All that doesn't mean that you cannot get academic selection right. And there are actually education systems that are quite good at mediating all the effects that I've just highlighted. But the future isn't that much with selection and grouping students, but with personalizing education in ways that help every learner reach their full potential.